Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Lounging with Lisa, the video series that has me lounging. Well, coming at you with thoughts of the day. As you can see, I've got my glue bee in my hand here. You can't see that, but I had to fix my necklace. I had this kind of nylon rope. It's just a quick fix. In the process, though, I found some other peace sign medallions, or whatever you call these things. Pendants, whatever you call them. So, at any rate, I just thought I'd drop in with you. It's cold. Really chilly here on September 1st in northwestern Pennsylvania, which I'm not really, I mean, I love the cool weather. It's delightful, but it's a little much, I feel. I don't know. And plus, I need to get some vitamin D today. Not that you can't get that, you know, when it's chilly out, of course. I just thought I'd fiddle with my hair and camera as much as humanly possible, or my coat. So, anyhow, I didn't mention something this morning because I was all swept up in the, what was I swept up in? Oh dear, everything we know is wrong kind of stuff. And listen, now look at my hair. It is really crazy today. All right, well, whatever. Yesterday on the Mike Rivera chat, something came to light. Oh, I want to tell you a couple things there. My column on Monday is basically, it's pretty much based on that video I did about the S word. I think it was about the S word and triggered by something. It was a combination of those two videos where I mentioned that there's socialism for the very rich and all this jazz. Okay. I wrote a column about it, and I thought I'm just going to send it to Mike Rivera. Maybe he'll get a charge. I send him stuff all the time that I'd like him to cover. But anyhow, I never expected to hear back. The man got back with me in like 15 minutes and said it was great and wanted to know when he could link to it. So I said whenever you want, although it wouldn't really be up yet on the website because the boss wants people to buy the paper in order to read it. This is a literal paper one holds in his hands, his or her hands, and reads. So that's kind of exciting. Now, getting to Rivera, back to Rivera for a minute, is yesterday he mentioned something about, he didn't dwell on it, but it triggered me, about that McDonald's lawsuit, the lady that got burnt at McDonald's. And I, like many people, up until really, I think just last year, assumed that that was some frivolous, you know, we heard a lot about tort reform back then, and frivolous lawsuits, and all this stuff, and, you know, you hear that over and over again. I did anyway, and I started to repeat it, because remember, I was brainwashed by the mainstream, and at that point, I was brainwashed by Fox News. So, I would go along with this, oh, we need tort reform stuff, and it's just amazing what I went along with. I have to be honest with you, I've come a long way, and I'm not even halfway there, so thanks for bearing with me. But if you get a chance, like if it's rainy this weekend, or just write it down or something. My friend Colleen turned me on to this. It's a documentary, not only about that case, but about other cases. It's called Hot Coffee. You can watch it, which cracks me up because my friend Ron, I'll tell you that later. Anyhow, where was I? Now I'm thinking about the hot coffee thing with Rhonda. Oh, yeah. You can watch it on YouTube for free. And you can even find a trailer, which I did share wildly with Mike Rivera. I went kind of nuts in the chat, I got to be honest with you, and started dropping things in because what people don't know that whole story, and it is horrifying. There were around almost 1,000, I think it was 900 complaints prior to that woman about the temperature of their coffee being off the charts ridiculous. They didn't do a thing about it. Remember, McDonald's, of course, is a huge global corporation. So they're going to do anything they can to avoid litigation or to avoid any being accused of wrongdoing. And, you know, a lot of us had this image in our heads of this woman cruising into the drive-thru, driving herself and ordering the coffee, and clearly it said hot coffee, and she spilled it on her and decided to do a frivolous lawsuit. Well, when you see this woman, who was an elderly gal at the time, I believe she was in her 70s when it happened. She has now passed away. Vehicles. And when you see her injuries, ladies and gentlemen, it's really disgusting. I mean, I recommend you probably don't even eat during this. I'm kind of like, I'm sensitive. I don't want to, like, eat dinner while watching, something gross on TV, like, open heart surgery on the Discovery Channel or something. I don't even watch TV, but you know what I mean. Yeah, it was real gross, and it almost looked like she had really been attacked by a great white shark. That's the best way I can put it. I mean, she had to have a bunch of skin grafts. It was just really bad news. And that video shows how, that documentary, excuse me, shows how society basically just caught on with this meme that it was some frivolous lawsuit and, you know, blah, 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 blah. Evidently, McDonald's only offered to pay like $800 or something for this woman's years worth of surgeries. Really, it's too much. What they did in the trailer anyway, maybe at the beginning, it's been over a year since I've seen it, is they went up to people on the street and said, have you heard about this? And they explained what they thought happened. And then the person doing the interview said, well, how would you feel if I told you that she wasn't driving the car? Oh, no, she was blah, blah, blah. How would you feel if, you know, blah, blah, blah. And they finally showed the photos, and those people recoiled in horror. It was not a good scene. This also leads into other things where I guess the large corporations are really trying to, well, they have managed to do it already, I think, sort of take over the judiciary with what they call arbitration. It's where you don't have a trial by jury. They try to do it this other way where it stays out of the public eye. It's really too much. I believe the documentary is over an hour, maybe close to 2 hours, I'm not certain. But they get into a lot of things other than that particular situation. There was also, if memory serves, there was some sort of individual running for office, and some things were done to him where he had to go to litigation, and it was all based on phony BS and stuff. It's really it's really worth it. It's really worth the watch, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, it's called Hot Coffee. And I thank my girlfriend Colleen for turning me on to this. Colleen is one of the few so-called, and you know I don't like labels, but I have to use one now. She's one of the few so-called liberals that has a very open mind to things like, oh, for example, like we might not be being told the whole story behind 9/11, for example, you know, or whatever. Or the various things that are going on in our atmosphere. Whatever. She's open to looking into it. She doesn't yell and call people tinfoil hat wearers and leave and flee from the streets. So I appreciate that about her. What else was I going to say about that docu? Hang on. Oh, I sent it to Mike Rivera. I sent him the, what's it called? The trailer about it, just to give him an idea of what he was, you know, saying on the air, because he was leaning more toward that. That's what I don't get about things, is these people that are kind of against the government and stuff, and I do understand that, believe me, but, you know, and of course the government's in bed with corporations. We really are a corporation. And yet, they would side with the corporation on that particular issue like it was a frivolous lawsuit against McDonald's. It was it just seems strange to me. Okay, anyhow, trailing off there for a minute, trying to think deeply. I think that's all. I just wanted to recommend that before I forgot, which I clearly didn't even have a theme this morning. That was sort of fun. Since then, I did listen to that gentleman being interviewed by something called The Higher Side Chat or something. It's kind of a neat outlet for more bizarre things, I guess you'd say, like I like to listen to from time to time. And it was kind of interesting. I think the moon's probably real, you know. But the part that I liked about it is, you know, he was saying a lot of the things that we think we know are not true, basically. And I do see that with history. It seems like history's on a loop of repeating. And, you know, even if you just get a different view of history from, say, Oliver Stone's movie, or a series, I should say, called The Untold History of the United States. Something like that. And then you can go back way further and get a history of how, like, religious leaders, like in the Vatican and things like that, have suppressed things, ladies and gentlemen. They have, you know, changed things or made it in the religious text so that I think our curiosity is almost stomped. It's stomped out. Like, you know how in the Bible it goes on about, you know, witchcraft and how bad it is, and thou shalt not suffer a witch to live, I believe is an exact quote. So that tells me that maybe there's something more to the magical stuff. If the Bible is so against it, I think that's a way maybe to keep people from learning something a little bit different, is what I'm saying. Not that I'm going to go out and kill somebody because the Bible says thou shalt not murder, but I think you get my point, I hope, ladies and gentlemen. I just think that a lot of the organized religions have been put into play for a reason, maybe, to help with whatever, and to keep, to keep people stubbornly just hanging on to that dogma. I look at a lot of comments whenever I go into a video. I always look at the comments, and the subject of the video, for example, could literally be about how, let me think of a really good description, how there's a lot of proof that that certain people in the Bible, certain figures, didn't ever exist, that they were sort of tales from earlier times kind of deal. I swear, underneath that you would have these total things like prepare for Jesus' return, or, like they never even looked at the video. People are very, I don't know how to say it other than just indoctrinated into that. And it's worrisome, I guess. I'm probably not making any sense right now. Okay, that's all. My God, I've almost gone 12 minutes. Lounging with Lisa, the video series, and has me lounging. While coming at you with thoughts of the day, please join me, join others, drop your political identities, and let's leave labels at the door. Also, let's investigate weird stuff from time to time. It frees the mind.